Well, hello everybody. Welcome to day 36. It's a beautiful day out. I just recorded like 20 minutes worth of stuff for you guys and then realized that my phone overheated and stopped recording. So I'm going to do this again. So Dr. Schwalt was interviewed on Medcram, I think yesterday or the day before. There's a bunch of stuff that's talked about. I just want you to recognize that the world we are living in right now, we're pulling information off of YouTube, information that's really critical. So it is obvious to me, maybe not as obvious to you, that the way that Dr. Schwalt is answering these questions is giving minimal information here and he's really treading on thin ice with some of his answers. So I don't have to tread on thin ice, so I will be very direct. I'm only gonna do half the video. I'll do half the video tomorrow because there's just too much info. But first thing he talks about is D3. At this point, we don't have to go on about D3. I just want you to all recognize that there's a flu season for a reason. When it's winter, we're not getting as much sunlight. The only way you're getting enough vitamin D3 is through your skin, with sunlight hitting your skin. If you're just getting sunlight on your hands or your face, you are unlikely to get enough. And again, the darker your skin, the older you are, the more genetic polymorphisms you have, the more obese you are, it goes on and on. The more that you have those things going on in your body, the harder it is to get enough vitamin D3. So long story short, there is no question vitamin D3 really, really matters. And if we are not outside getting vitamin D3, then you better be supplementing with it. Here's what I really want to get into is, once again, we hear about our old friend, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, we've been talking about it since March. Now, here's what's disappointing, is we're still not having people like Dr. Schwalt stepping up and telling people how to maximize nitric oxide production in your body, which is through your parasinuses, okay? If you are a mouth breather, you are not maximizing nitric oxide production. Now, there's a reason why sleep apnea maps onto heart disease. Because if you are breathing through your mouth, snoring, and you're waking up at night, it has its own issues about not getting through the sleep cycles, which we talked about in my sleep seminar. There's actually 2 sleep seminars that you can listen to. But it is also, again, remember, nitric oxide is a vasodilator. That is why people that have sleep apnea are more likely to die of a heart attack. Somebody put a comment in one of my videos, hey, my mother got COVID, she's 92, and they said that she died of heart failure. Well, again, similarly, how COVID is working here, it's a deprivation of nitric oxide, meaning nitric oxide is a vasodilator. COVID is literally a vasoconstrictor. And downstream, that's going to affect the heart. And it is for the same reason that people with sleep apnea map onto heart disease later in life. That's why it is so important. That's why you have insurance companies paying for these devices so that you don't have sleep apnea, because they know people are dying from it. It's that important, and it's all about nitric oxide. So I'm going to go back and say I'm disappointed that Dr. Schwalt is not getting it out there saying, guys, breathe through your nose, do breath work. Now, that's only half of it. Breathing through your nose is half of it. The other half is how you breathe diaphragmically. And if you go further down, well, yeah, let's keep going. If you go further down into the video, about halfway through, he talks about the success that they're having by putting people on their bellies that are in the hospital. And he doesn't say why. He doesn't. The reason why, everybody, you've heard me talk about it again, going back to the middle of March, doing the breath work, diaphragmic breathing. When you put somebody in your belly, this is a strategy that we've been doing forever in the fitness industry. It's called alligator breathing. You're forcing people to breathe diaphragmically. You're forcing them to use the diaphragm, which is a powerful muscle. Okay, you're making them use it. Now you may say, well, doesn't everybody use it? Guys, again, the amount of reverse breathers that we have in this country is astounding. I can lay a 15-year-old on their back and I can show the parents, look, you see how he's breathing right now? You see how his belly isn't breathing? That's a problem, and it starts young, and it starts because we're a seated society. It starts because our necks are like this, and guess what? C3, C4, C5, those are the nerves that fire off your diaphragm. So if I'm like this all day, here, and then I sleep with all these pillows, and I'm like this at night texting, right? You're just creating this impingement in those cervical vertebrae that is not good for your diaphragm, meaning the signaling of the diaphragm. And we sit down all day, so we crunch down. We're just crunched down in here, and we can't freely breathe here, right? And then nobody teaches us to correct it. Lay a baby on its back and watch the baby's belly. You're gonna notice that belly goes up and down, up and down. It's effortless, and the baby breathes through its nose quietly. That's how we should be breathing. Now, some of us need to do extra work. I'm one of those people. I shared my whole story. I mean, I have to work on my breathing based on what I have going on up here, and I do it every day. I shared with you all of the things that I do, not just for my breathing, but for this whole area up here. I use a neti pot in the morning and at night. I shared all the things that I do. But guys, we got to start having better conversations about nitric oxide and breathing. It's that important. And it is in the video, but again, unfortunately, Dr. Schwalt does not explain how important breathing is. Then you may ask, well, what about supplements, Tom? What about supplements for nitric oxide? Yes, if you walk into Fit for Life at any time in the past 8 years, right on the top shelf is OPC, grapeseed extract, which is probably the most effective supplement that we have to increase nitric oxide. You know what else increases nitric oxide? I'm outside right now. It's called sunlight. What else? Vitamin C. There's a bunch of things, root vegetables. There's a bunch of things that increase nitric oxide. But the bottom line is, guys, we got to get back to the conversation with how we breathe. How we breathe really matters, because that's going to get the oxygen where it belongs in the body. So speaking of which, he talks about there being, blood clots being an issue, how there's 9 times the amount of micro blood clots in the body when they do autopsies. And it really has to do with coagulation of the blood. And so there's a question about anticoagulants. And he goes specifically into, and I don't blame him, goes specifically into medicines that are anticoagulants. And of course, these medicines can get very, very, very dialed in on how they're working. But I just want everybody to recognize that there are other anticoagulants that you're taking, things like fish oil. I mean, there are low-dose aspirin thins the blood. There are things that thin the blood. So that's why certain supplements, I say to you guys, if you're going to take this supplement, you have to have a conversation with your doctor if you're on certain meds, because you don't want to thin the blood too much, because now you have a bleeding problem, right? Ironically, the next question is about vitamin K. And here's where we can get into trouble, because they don't specify whether they're talking about vitamin K1 or vitamin K2. And these are two completely different vitamins. Vitamin K1 has as much to do with vitamin K2 as it does with vitamin C or vitamin D or vitamin A. They do two completely different things. And people can get in trouble here because there are lots of companies and lots of people in the know that are combining their D3 with K2, and rightfully so. Because one of the other things that vitamin D3 does, other than bolster your immune system tremendously, is it takes calcium and frees it up in the blood. It is the vitamin K2 that takes that calcium and puts that calcium where it belongs, into bone. That's vitamin K2. What they're talking about in this video is vitamin K1. And the reason why they're talking about it is because vitamin K1, its job is to clot blood. So people are asking, well, geez, man, if people are dying of these blood clots, is vitamin K1 a problem? Well, again, the answer is no. Like, the answer is we need both things. Like, blood needs to do its job. So these are polar opposites. On one side, you have fish oil that's, thinning the blood. These anticoagulants that you're eating in food and through some of your supplements. And then you have vitamin K1, which you're also getting through food, which helps to clot the blood. So there's a balance here. But just be clear that if you listen to this, they're talking about vitamin K1, okay? So the simple answer here is you may say, well, what's my takeaway here? Your takeaway here is you need to eat a balanced diet, because you're getting the vitamin K1, which coagulates the blood, and you're getting through other foods that you're eating anticoagulants. So leafy greens and things like that, you're going to get vitamin K1. Fatty fish, for example, you're going to get your anticoagulants. You get the idea? All right, we need both. It's not about focusing on that, guys. It's about focusing on all of the things we talked about with oxidative stress. And speaking of which, somebody asked a very specific question about melatonin and its ability to act as an antioxidant. And of course it does. And what I love here is Dr. Schwalt really gets it right answering this question fully. Again, it is not that Dr. Schwalt doesn't know everything I'm saying here. The problem is the type of conversation that he can have and not have the video removed from YouTube is pathetic. This dude knows his stuff, and he went through all of the antioxidant stuff, which we attempted to do with the people I'm coaching. I had to stop because people just were like, yeah, we're not following. And I apologize for that. So I've been trying to make things more practical. But the bottom line is that my man took 10 days and about 15 minutes each day to really make sure people understand how oxidative stress works in the body, and went through the electron transport chain and talked about every single thing that's happening with your mitochondria, and how all of this is really the thing that leads to all disease, all of it, all disease, not just COVID. My man knows. Okay, so everything I'm saying here, he's not going to disagree with. He just can't say certain things that I'm getting into right now. But when it comes to melatonin, he says, look, melatonin, and this is confirmed by Dr. Matthew Walker's research from Stanford University, who I've mentioned many times. Melatonin is really good at sort of resetting your circadian rhythm. So if you go from New Jersey to California and there's a 3-hour time difference, melatonin can be very helpful to get you to sleep on time, right? So you take your melatonin so that it's easier for you to fall asleep. It helps you reset. Now, it doesn't help you sleep more deeply or anything like that. There's no real evidence there. Again, read Dr. Matthew Walker's work. But it is extremely effective on helping you to reset your circadian rhythms. If you want to know more about sleep, I suggest you go back and listen to my other videos. I did 2 of them on sleep, and they are very practical, very, very practical seminars on sleep. But in terms of its benefits as an antioxidant, so the question would be, well, should I just take a lot of melatonin? The answer is no. He recommends 3 to 5 milligrams, and he says, because if you take more than that, you can become irritable, and he doesn't explain why. But I'm happy to explain why to you guys, because I've explained it in the past, that remember, what antagonizes melatonin is serotonin. And how is it done? It's done in light through the eyeballs. So if you take a whole bunch of melatonin, right, you can actually, and remember, serotonin, one of its jobs is to kind of wake you up in the morning. It actually works in conjunction with cortisol to wake you up. So when you have light and you take this, if you take melatonin, you can actually get almost like a stimulatory effect in the body. There's just too much melatonin here. And well, you may say, well, what if I kept it completely dark, right? What if I took a high dose melatonin and kept it completely dark, didn't turn on any lights, didn't look at my phone? And you may say, look at your phone. Yes, that is powerful blue light. Remember, light has spectrums, and meaning that you can break visible light into colors, and blue light is the most powerful. It is one of the most powerful. So that's like going into high noon and looking up at the sky. When you turn your phone on and you're looking at it, you're getting all that light into your eyeballs, and that's enough to convert that melatonin into serotonin. So if you left it completely dark, it's a great question. Could you take more? It's possible. You could take 5 or 10 milligrams. But again, the takeaway here, guys, is make sure you it's completely dark, that you leave it completely dark, that you're not staring at your phone or your TV or anything like that. But I would tell you that 3 to 5 milligrams has been what's studied as being effective in helping people changing their circadian rhythms, meaning getting to bed at that particular time. And as an antioxidant, it's also extremely important. He goes a little bit into hospital stay length and things like this, but I think I'll leave that for tomorrow because I'm already past 15 minutes. Hopefully you guys found this stuff interesting and important and you took something away. Guys, have a great rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow.